With about 2 weeks left before Election Day and millions of Americans already casting their ballots, Fat Ass 45 still has not indicated what his policy agenda would be for a second term. That's because he has no agenda. He has ping-ponged from one message to another, from disingenuous pleas to suburban women to questioning the advice of health experts like Dr. Anthony Fauci, and troublingly, from crisis to crisis, and chief among them a resurgent pandemic. Democrats, on the other hand, have already offered a stark contrast to the American people. The closing argument is clear. We will build back better for the people. The Democratic majority in the House of Representatives has already offered basically the Democratic majority in the House of Representatives, they have already offered a broad preview of what Americans could expect with Joe Biden in the White House and Democrats in charge of the House and Senate. In a little under 2 years since winning control of the House, Democrats have advanced a clear and comprehensive policy agenda for the people, which focuses on healthcare, the economy, and cleaning out the corruption and strengthening our democracy. Unfortunately, over the same period, Fat Ass 45 and the Republicans have obstructed the enactment of this agenda by opposing legislation, many broadly supported by large majorities of Americans. Hundreds of bipartisan bills that were passed by the House are now sitting on the Republican-led Senate's desk and basically being stalled because they don't care. Our policies reflect our commitment to confronting the crises we now face and addressing challenges that have been too long ignored. For example, the Democratic-led House worked quickly and effectively to protect Americans from COVID-19 and took steps to they took steps to reopen our economy safely over time. While Fat Ass 45 lied to the American people and downplayed the seriousness of the pandemic, and congressional Republicans abetted his irresponsible actions, Democrats took this crisis seriously from the very start. The House took action by passing four major pieces of legislation to ensure that free testing and treatment for COVID-19 and deliver direct payments to Americans, support small businesses and their employees through the Paycheck Protection Program, and provided an extra $600 a week for those needing the unemployment insurance during this pandemic. Thankfully, the Republicans joined in enacting in those first four COVID-19 relief bills. However, after House Democrats took further action in May and again in October to provide additional relief through the HEROES Act, Republicans in the Senate blocked it and continue to do so today. Even as we confront the COVID-19 pandemic, the Democratic-led House has made lowering health care costs a priority and passing over 10 different pieces of legislation to do just that. Under a Democratic government, the federal government would no longer sabotage access to affordable health care or seek to end protections for those with pre-existing conditions. As Fat Ass 45 and Republicans have done in the middle of a deadly pandemic, a Biden administration, in partnership with the Democratic House and Senate, would defend and strengthen the Affordable Care Act while taking further action to lower prescription drug costs. Democrats continue to seek partners across the aisle who are ready to work with us to achieve these goals, which are so critical to millions of American families. Joe Biden and a Democratic Congress will restore the promise that anyone who works hard and takes responsibility can make it in America. Even before the COVID-19 pandemic, too many Americans are struggling and still are. Fat Ass 45 and the Republicans have ignored the plight of those working families. Instead, the focus of his first term was cutting taxes for the wealthiest Americans. In contrast, the Democratic House passed legislation to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour to ensure equal pay for equal work, protect workers' right to organize for better pay and benefits, and make long overdue investments in rebuilding our nation's infrastructure that would create well-paying jobs. Under the stewardship of a President Biden and the Democratic Congress, the integrity of our democratic institutions and those who serve in office would be restored and protected after 4 years of the Fat Ass 45's rampant corruption. Within the first 10 weeks of our majority, the House Democrats passed the HR 1 for the People Act, and basically it's to end the influence of dark money in our politics and restore voting rights, engage in national redistricting reform, and clean up corruption in Washington. Since then, we have taken additional steps to make our elections more secure and prevent any foreign interference and protect our postal system so Americans can safely vote by mail. With the President Biden and Democratic Senate, we can finally make these reforms a reality. And in so many other ways, Americans know exactly what electing Joe Biden as president and expanding the Democratic majority in the House and sending a Democratic majority to the Senate will mean for them and their families. While they all know from FATS 45, well, all they know from FATS 45 is chaos and uncertainty, Democrats will confront climate change head on in a way that creates jobs and makes the United States the world's leader, even as too many Republicans have denied it exists. Democrats will work to end violence, basically the gun violence, by enacting reforms that the overwhelming majority of Americans support. Even as Republicans have largely looked the other way, Democrats will advance measures that ensure the quality of every American. Even as Republicans have voted against legislation in the House aimed at protecting equal rights and opportunity for women, the LGBT Americans, immigrants, and minority groups facing discrimination. The policy agenda that House Democrats advanced over the past 2 years has been driven by determination to respond to the most pressing concerns of the American people. It is a blueprint for leadership, one that will not only help us build back better from this pandemic, but build ladders of opportunity for those who have long been struggling to make it in America. So if you like the video, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, Random Mike, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. And thanks for listening.